Um, Now we're gonna get to another story here. This is just terrible story we're gonna get to, and that is snipers. Let me actually put this up. Let me get this set up the right way before I start speaking on the story. But let's pivot the story, and let me take this comment off here. What am I doing again? Israeli snipers. That's the story. All right, so let's get into it here. Israeli snipers target a Christian church and murder old lady and daughter. Excuse me. Now let me read the caption. This is Democracy Now. They cover this. I want to use their video as a foundation just to get all sort of the facts about what happened out first before we get into some reaction and some analysis. So let's first find out what exactly happened. Oops, let me read it. Actually, it says Palestinian Christians in Gaza are being shot by Israeli snipers while sheltering at churches. We speak to Philip Farah, a relative of the 84-year-old Ilham Farah, a beloved music teacher and one of the civilians shot and killed by Israel outside of Gaza's only Catholic church. So let's listen to this.
Ilham Farah, who is a beloved 84-year-old music teacher, daughter of a famed Palestinian poet, was killed by an Israeli sniper outside the Holy Family Church, where the mother and daughter were killed on Sunday by an Israeli sniper. Philip Farah, can you describe what is happening there right now and talk about this small Palestinian Christian community under siege? How is this happening?
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Democracy Now! Yes, three of my grandparents are from Gaza. I was raised in Jerusalem, but we had very strong connections to Gaza. There were many Palestinian Christian families in Gaza. It was a thriving community. Our relatives, the Medbaks, the Tarazis, the Sabas, the Jahshan, Farah, including Farah, and Sairs, were a thriving community that lived in peace with their Muslim neighbors, and even there were Jewish neighbors. Back then, one of my grand uncles was a grains merchant, and some of his best friends were Jewish grains merchants as well. They were in the business of exporting barley, actually, to the United Kingdom for upgrading beer in breweries in the UK. Over the years, that community has dwindled to a tiny minority because of the horrible conditions that Israel has imposed on Gaza. Especially back in 2013, the number was 3,000, far smaller than it was, say, at the turn of the century. Now it's only barely 1,000 people, and they're all sheltering in St. Porphyrius, the Orthodox Church.
Mm-hmm.
That is the church where my father, uncles, and aunts, and members of my extended family were baptized. So many were sheltering in St. Porphyrius. I think still some are. Four of my Tarazi relatives were killed there. Ilham actually was sheltering at St. Porphyrius until the Israeli bombing that killed 18 Christians in that church. And then she moved to the Holy Cross, the Holy Family Church. She was a delightful 84-year-old woman, beloved of many students in Gaza, but she was strong-headed, and against the advice of her fellows who were sheltering there, she wanted to go home. She just simply wanted to go home, and she proceeded to do that. A sniper shot her in the leg, and folks who were trying to rescue her were all being shot at, so she bled to death. What could a woman like that, 84-year-old woman, have done to hurt Israelis? Or so, you know, this is a continuing saga.
Yeah, so we got the basics out of that video. It's just a very, very disturbing. And here's a photo of her and her daughter, and I'll read the caption. This is low key. The Israeli military is claiming that these two Palestinian. Actually, let me come back to that, because something else I need to cover before I come to that. Something else I need to cover before I come to that. Yeah, this one. Because I need to go in a certain progression. That's more of a last video, because there's some update in the information. So let's play this one first. And this is Sky News, and it says reports have said that 2 women were killed after allegedly being shot by the Israeli sniper inside a Catholic church. Archbishop of Westminster described it as a bold, bloody killing. So this is an archbishop who's describing it here. Uh-oh. Let me refresh the video. It does that sometimes on Twitter. And it should play. Hopefully it'll play. Oh, there it goes. Let's play.
What happened there over the weekend?
Well, as far as I know, and the information comes from, I think, a very reliable source, the cardinal in Jerusalem, who's the patriarch for that parish. And he said...
so the cardinal in Jerusalem is the one he's getting his information from.
The compound around the Church of the Holy Family was attacked. Some of its crucial infrastructure was targeted with rockets.
So the churches, they're not just shooting them, they're targeting churches and destroying their infrastructure, as he's stating here.
And I think most distressing of all, an elderly lady who was leaving the church to go to the toilet was shot dead. And then her daughter, who went out to try and assist her, was killed as well. All of this.
These two, and she looks just like her mom right there. These are the 2 that were killed. These are the 2. These is Hamas to you? But we're going to get to that, where now they're trying to act like these are Hamas. These people are disgusting.
This within what has been clearly designated as a church place, which I cannot believe for 1 minute has rocket launchers in it. And it's a community that since October has sheltered hundreds of people and looked after them. And the religious sisters, the nuns there, have been cooking and feeding people. And the house where they live in that compound, where they look after 54 very handicapped people, the water tanks were blown off. The solar...
They're looking after handicapped people? The water tanks were blown up. These ladies are looking after handicapped. I mean, some of these churches are looking after handicapped people, and Israel is just...
Panels were blown off, and the house was rendered almost uninhabitable. So it's a desperate situation for them.
The Pope's called it terrorism. How would you describe it?
Well, it's certainly a cold-blooded killing. That's the description that is given. And what absolutely puzzles me is this does nothing to further Israel's right to defend itself, which I understand. I mean, the last time I was there, and that's a few years ago, it was made very clear to me that Gaza, and this community particularly, lived under the domination of Hamas. You know, so they would have maybe 6 hours electricity a day, and then the rest of it would be switched to the underground network. And that's 4 or 5 years ago, and it won't have weakened. But the killing of evidently vulnerable and innocent people seems to me to set back what Israel says it's trying to achieve.
What explanation could
What they say they're trying to achieve, because it's obviously a lie. It's obviously made up.
there be?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about the management of soldiers in uniform and the discipline that they should be exercising, but we've seen in a number of ways that discipline has broken down, and these would appear to be just random shootings. So I hope those responsible for it, because this is a structured army, will be held to account for what they've done.
Yeah. They'll be held account. Oh, okay. If accountable means they go on vacation, yeah, they'll be held to account. Let's now. She alluded to the Pope calling this out. Let's play the Pope, because he does speak to this. Because understand, this is a Catholic church. This is why the Roman Empire is getting involved, and that's what the Catholic Church. The Roman Empire never went away; they became the Catholic Church.
Continuo a ricevere da casa notizie molto.
I'm going to read. So let me turn the sound down, I guess, and then I'll read. Actually, I'll turn it not off, but down. Okay. I continue to receive from Gaza very serious and painful news. Unarmed civilians are the target of bombings and gunfire. This has even happened within the compounds of the Holy Family Parish, where there are no terrorists, only families, children, people who are sick and have disabilities, and nuns. A mother and a daughter, Nihada Kala Atan and Samar Aton, were killed, and others were injured by snipers as they walked to the bathroom. The house of the sisters and mother of Teresa was damaged, and their generator was hit. So some say this is terrorism, this is war. Yes, it is war, it is terrorism. That is why Scripture affirms that God stops war, breaks the bow, let us pray to the Lord for peace. And that is the Pope chiming in on that. And let's go to the next thing. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to everything. So here, let's go to this Norman Finkelstein tweet here. And he says, assassins. The media reported today in shock that Israeli snipers killed 2 Christian women inside a church in Gaza. But is that news? Israeli snipers routinely kill unarmed civilians. Here's a sample of unarmed Palestinian civilians killed by specially trained Israeli snipers during the overwhelmingly nonviolent Great March of Return in 2018. And I'm just going to show you a couple of receipts here that he posted. This is Norman Finkelstein who posted this. Here's one. Mohammed, 24-year-old football player for some sports team, took out his telephone and began recording a selfie video. An Israeli security force sniper shot him in the right side of his right leg, and as he filmed himself approximately 150 meters from the separation fence. The bullet passed through his right leg and hit his left leg just above the knee, shattering the base of his femur. And here's another one. Yosef Krones was 19, student journalist when he attended the demonstration. He wore a blue press vest and carried his photography equipment, including a camera and a tripod. He sat cross-legged on top of a sand dune to take photographs of the demonstration at least 800 meters from the separation fence. After approximately 40 minutes, as he stood up, the ISF shot him with 2 bullets in immediate succession, which hit him in the right knee and the left knee. And Norman Finkelstein gives like this is at least 15 examples of how this is quite normal. So this is not like, oh, this is out of the realm of what normality for the Israel government, and it's not. Let's get to this one here. Now, no preface needed. Let's just listen.
You heard our Member of Parliament, Layla Miranda, her relatives, 6 of them, targeted by Israeli army snipers in a church compound in Gaza. What on earth is going on?
Let me rewind because it was low. It's only a few seconds, but let's still rewind.
You
so we can
heard
hear all of it.
our Member of Parliament, Layla Miranda, her relatives, 6 of them, targeted by Israeli army snipers in a church compound in Gaza. What on earth is going on?
Well, that's the question to Layla, not to me. I think that I can only say that we, as the Jewish people, are used to blood libels. So to hear that Israeli snipers are targeting women on purpose and not letting them leave the church is something that reminds me usually the atmosphere in the Middle Ages before another holiday.
Are you saying it's a lie? Are you saying it didn't happen?
This is a flat lie, absolutely. No Israeli sniper ever purposely targeted any civilian, to say nothing about women.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the Pope doesn't think it's a lie. You think it's a lie. What about the targeting of the maternity hospital in Khan Yunis? Is that a lie as well?
Hospitals, as well as schools and other compounds and safe zones created for civilian population in Gaza, unfortunately, are being cynically used by Hamas. I don't think that I'm bringing any breaking news to you if I would say that Hamas gave a new meaning to the expression human shield. Unfortunately, yes, and I do have to say that we regret them. There are some civilian casualties in Gaza. Hamas are the only ones to blame here because, as I've said, they just don't care, or even I would say more than that. They are probably happy because then the reaction of the world comes, and this is the only way for them to survive.
But the person, right? But the people firing the tank shells are not against hospitals, are not Hamas. It's the IDF. I mean, this reminds people of the scenes in Mariupol at the beginning of the Ukraine war. There were also maternity hospitals targeted by the Russians. Is that the kind of company you want to keep?
With all the due respect, I think that comparing between what is happening right now in the Gaza Strip and what happened in Mariupol, I'm telling you, as someone who was actually born in the Ukraine, is...
You were born in the Ukraine. You're born in the Ukraine. What the fuck you doing in Israel? This is clown shit here. This Zionism shit is some clown ass shit.